This is the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. I'm Kevin Schola.
My mom and dad both worked at the elementary school in our small town, and among the many things I owe them is a simple lesson that I've learned, that this is America, and every woman can walk through every door of opportunity.
We heard from Sarah Palin's brother on our last show, and today it's part 2 of our special presentation. The governor's dad is here, Chuck Heath Sr., who along with Chuck Jr. has written the book Our Sarah, Made in Alaska. We get the thoughts of a man who's known Sarah Palin her whole life. We are so excited to have Mr. Chuck Heath Sr. here on the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So what's it like being Sarah Palin's dad?
It's kind of overwhelming lately. This is something that happens to the guy down the street, not me, because we're more or less a common, ordinary family, and when she hit the spotlight, I just kind of was bewildered for a long time. A lot of this still hasn't sunk in, Kevin. I think I addressed that in the book, Our Sarah.
You sure did, and you had this wonderful opportunity to write a book about her along with your son, Chuck Jr. What was this experience like? You Heaths have lived quite a life.
Well, yeah, it's not a sedentary life by any means. It's a life of adventure, one after another. I think we do more in a week or two than most people do in a year or even in a lifetime. But that's been our way of life. I've enjoyed writing this with Chuck because we've reminisced about our past so much, and lots of smiles, lots of laughter went into this book.
Did you see something special in Sarah at an early age? I know a lot of parents, they say this and that about their son and daughter. I'm going through it now with very little ones, but but you have the proof here. So in retrospect, do you remember thinking that at all?
Well, there's 3 questions commonly asked of us. I mean, hundreds of times. Number 1 is, what's her game plan? We don't know. Number 2 is what you just said. Did we see this coming? And I'd like to say, oh, yeah, I saw her when she was jumping around her crib, but absolutely not. Absolutely not. I did notice when about in the 4th grade, she read the newspaper all the time. And I would read the sports page, and she'd grab the front section, and then she'd ask me questions about certain articles. And that's where I first got my inkling that, she's interested in more things besides sports and gold panning and fishing and things like that.
And what's it like for you and your wife, Sally, to see your daughter, Sarah, become such an influential person and a role model to so many people?
Well, needless to say, we're very, very proud. Yeah, very, very proud. And I heard Chuck Jr. say something about it kind of hurts us when people that don't even know her or know us knock us. The newspaper up here has been terrible on negative things. In fact, we don't even read the newspaper up here anymore. But generally, to answer your question, we are just extremely proud.
Religion is something you tackle in the book. Christians for sure, but it's not that simple. The Heaths have had quite a journey when it comes to faith. Can you give listeners a glimpse of the role faith has played in your family's life? Well,
she got most of her faith and her guidance from her mom. Her mom isn't a religious nut or anything like that. She's just a devout Christian, and she passed that on to all of our children. In the book, Our Sarah, I comment that my God is the same God you have, but it's the God of the mountains, the God of the streams, the God of the forest. And I pass that on to the kids, too. And even today, they all go to church reverently, and they'll continue doing this, I'm sure.
You really took a different kind of leap of faith, if you will, when you packed up the family and moved to Alaska. What a bold move there.
Well, that was a dream for years and years and years. I would have come up sooner, but I couldn't afford to move.
Sure.
I was teaching in Idaho. I taught 3 years in Idaho, and when I got out of college, I wanted to come to Idaho, but I didn't have the money to move up there. When I came up, I was teaching in a 9th grade in Idaho, and 10 of my students from one class have moved up into our town or in our area. they do the same thing I do. They gold pen, they beachcomb, they hunt, they fish. So it's a lifestyle we had in Idaho, but not as extensive.
The book, of course, eventually goes into the political arena. When Sarah first got involved in politics, did you ever think, wait a minute, huge things are about to happen here, or did you think it was just going to be a local mayor deal?
Well, when she first started, I thought she was over her head because she butted heads with some very, very influential and important people. And when she kept winning, I just was very, very dismayed and also very, very proud. And when she became mayor, I thought, well, that was the end of it. Then when she went for governor, I said, holy cow. And I think I even encouraged her to go for lieutenant governor because she was running up against the incumbent governor and what have you, a big name, and she waxed him. I mean, she had such a great following, mainly because of her sincerity and her honesty.
What about little Sarah? You had a lot of fun, didn't you? Hunting together, father-daughter events, great memories there?
Oh, yeah. Like Chuck said, they got very little television time. The television they had in the winter, even, I had in a back room with no heat. I remember when they turned the television on, the tube would condense and it would ice up. It might be 20 below in that back room. So they didn't watch that much television. And a lot of our television programs were tape delayed, like Monday Night Football. The tapes were flown up maybe on Tuesday, so things weren't quite like they are today.
And speaking of that, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing here? I understand something involving the Packers.
Oh, I became a good Packer fan in the early '60s. I was fortunate enough to play in the same high school football team with Jerry Kramer, who went on as an All-Pro for several years with the Green Bay Packers in the '60s. He made that infamous block on Jethro Pugh, if you remember, in the Ice Bowl and what have you. And I played quite a bit of football in high school and some in college. And Jerry made me look good. He was such a good blocker. In college, I didn't have Jerry to block for me, and I didn't do that well in college. But I'm still in contact with Jerry, and in fact, his brother got me a job. I addressed that in our book, Our Sarah. He got me a job in the Anchorage School District. His next-door neighbor was the assistant superintendent, and just one phone call, and that's all it took.
That's amazing. I know Jerry's done a lot of NFL films work over the years, commentary and whatnot,
Sure.
after retiring, and guys like me being able to enjoy that Ice Bowl who weren't around at the time. But let me say, as a Bears fan, we're gonna be cordial here. I will tell you this, Mr. Heath. Mike Ditka, of course, did come out in support of Sarah in '08.
Yes,
so
he did.
So
yes,
we do have some backers here from Chicago as well.
Mike Webster from the Steelers was a good supporter of Sarah too. He sent her memorabilia and autographed pictures and everything. But Mike Ditka, he's kind of a mentor for me too. I just like his style.
Writing this book, sir, was there anything you remembered that perhaps you may have not thought of again if you didn't have a book project and really had to sit down and dig in?
Well, there's lots of things that we put in there, lots of stories that the editor deleted throughout. She thought it wasn't newsworthy, so to say, and what have you. Now, Chuck Jr. is already started to write another book, and a lot of these stories will be in that book. They were very close and important to us.
Now, the Heaths and Palins really have that work hard and play just as hard attitude, and that really comes across in the book. You've just had a lot of fun with your family, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, one adventure after another. It's not sitting around, twiddling your thumb or what have you. It's go, 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 especially on the, like the commercial fishing, and I guided, and my wife camp cooked for me and my clients. But there's always something. Yeah, we don't sit around. I'll sit around when I'm in my wheelchair.
And, I could just from your voice, I mean, we know this already, but just the way you talk, I mean, you're just a proud dad of 4 wonderful children, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Despite me, they've all turned out real well.
Again, we're crediting Sally again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 2 are teachers, one's a dental hygienist, and then Sarah, well, whatever we want to call her, a politician, I guess. Yeah, they've all done a good job, yeah.
Are you excited for the book tour?
Yes, I went on the Going Rogue tour with when Sarah did her tour. I think we went to 38 cities and what have you. I didn't go to the first 3 cities because it just didn't seem interesting to me, but my wife went, and after 3 cities, she says, "You get back here." So I flew back and met them in Rochester, and it was really a highlight, really a highlight of the whole political scene that Sarah was involved in. The people that would approach her and just they couldn't speak when they went up to talk to her. The expressions on their face, we were received so well nationwide. 38 cities, 25 states.
Well, it's really a wonderful book, and I think it just captures everything that those of us who already support Governor Palin know, that it's the extraordinary part of her, but also the very ordinary part of her and all of you, and there's a wonderful, tight, close-knit family that people can relate to, I think, in a lot of ways. I do have to add, sir, a bit off topic, but I have to ask you, I spoke to your son-in-law, Todd, recently about your dog, and I'm a lab guy myself.
Oh, boy.
Now, your chocolate lab can do some really incredible stuff.
Well, he's what we call an antler dog. Supposedly it's in his genes, but you can teach a lab to do anything. But he goes out and finds and brings back shed antlers. He also, I read about it once, so I started training him. I'll hide money around the yard, around the house, and he has a command money, and he goes picks up the dollar bills or whatever I hide around. So he's just a good dog. If you have labs, you know what I'm talking about. They're all basically the same.
Well, maybe we could send him to Washington. He could find out where all the money's going.
Yeah. Good idea.
I did get. I saw when you were on the television program, Sarah Palin Alaska, and he was on, and I said, if I ever talk to Mr. Heath, I got to talk about this, as lab people. But great stuff, sir. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. God bless, and all the best to all the Heaths and Palins, and we're really looking forward to see how well this book does. I'm sure it's going to be a smash hit.
Okay, our pleasure, Kevin. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Yeah, you hang in there.
Chuck Heath Sr., quite a guy. Great pictures in this book, too, folks. Talk about having a cool dad. You have to see one shot of him with his motorcycle as a younger man. He looks like he's straight out of Easy Rider. The Heath kids must have really had a blast with Chuck Heath as their dad. He's obviously so very proud, for good reason, of his Sarah. The book, Our Sarah, Made in Alaska, out now and available everywhere. It's also available in audio, CD, and audiobook unabridged formats. And for the latest on tour dates and media appearances, head to sarahnetradio.net. We've got you covered. Find out where Chuck Sr. and Chuck Jr. will be promoting this great book. Make sure you check out our brand new show on SarahNet Radio, Breaking It Down with Bristol, every week on the 6 Seeds Faith and Family channel at Pathos, and right here on SarahNet Radio. Just go to Bristol's blog. That's www.pathos.com/blogs/Bristol Palin, and sarahnetradio.net for more information and a complete rundown of episodes. And don't forget, the Palin Update is now on demand and available for download. So just head to sarahnetradio.net, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this special edition of the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. Visit sarahnetradio.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. I want to thank everyone here at SarahNet Radio. Thanks to Chuck Heath Sr., and thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us next time for another edition of the Palin Update. And also tune in to Breaking It Down with Bristol. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.